everyone, my name is Timpy. I share watercolor tutorials for beginners on this channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I will show you how I painted these beautiful daisies in a quick and simple way. So let's get started. Let's do a quick run through my materials. I've got my size 6 round brushes. I've got my A5 size watercolor sheet taped down with a scotch tape. I'll be using Winsor & Newton color palette for this painting, and I'll also be using some masking fluid, which is the main thing that's required for this painting. So let's get started. So we are starting off by drawing a few oval shapes for the center of the daisies. This painting is inspired by a self-click pictures because daisies are blooming at this point, and we don't really need to worry too much about it being entirely accurate or following the reference picture. You can make as many daisies as you like, but I like to keep a few only because we're going to be focusing on them and drawing an abstract background. So as you can see, I have masked all the daisies, and you can see that the shapes of the daisies are slightly variant. So some of them are just kind of a side view, some are from the top, which are the ones which are down below. So you can vary that, and you can also refer to the reference picture. So we're going to be painting wet and wet background, and I wet my sheet with clean water, and now I'm dropping in some yellow ochre color. I'm also going to add some sap green color, so this makes a lovely combination, and I'm going to especially add that green around where the daisies are so we can see some contrast. So the masking fluid needs to be completely dry before we actually do this wet on wet background. I'm also adding a little bit of darker green, that's a hooker's green. I'm using my Winsor & Newton palette here. So you can experiment dropping in different colors. You can just play with the colors. Obviously you'll see that you'll get different results. I'm dropping in some salt particles here and there, especially in the backdrop, and you'll see how we get some interesting effects once the paint has completely dried. I'm going to be using my palette knife now to create some scratching effects, and I'm going to create some grasses with the use of the palette knife. All I'm doing is just tilted my palette knife and I'm scratching my paper, and you get better results when the paint is still wet, so you need to act swiftly. You can also use your tissue to pick up some color, just create like a blurry effect that there are some daisies in the backdrop, and this you can only do while the paint is still wet, so it's called a lifting technique. So we need to wait for our paint to be completely dry before we can actually take off the masking fluid. Before we do that, obviously we are adding a few more lines just you get a very nice contrast if you work this way, and a beautiful background. So this is a very useful technique, and you can use it for any flowers you may paint. Just make sure you take off all that masking fluid, the dried masking fluid off your paper, or it will interrupt your painting. Now I'm using some cadmium yellow for the centers of the daisies. Size 1 brush here. It's a thin brush, any thin brush should do. Towards the left side of those ovals, just to create some depth and a 3-dimension. Nearly there. We just need to add a few shadows to the petals now to create some dimension to those petals, and I'm going to be using Payne's Gray for this. And I've got my size 1 brush again. It's a thin brush, so I'm just going to go near the petals. I'm also adding a few dots here and there to the centers just for the shadows. Very light consistency, very light diluted Payne's Gray for the shadows of the petal, as you can see, and just giving them some more definition this way. The background looks really nice, with those abstract flower shapes in white, and that's all because of the use of salt. So you can really play with it, and salt creates a very beautiful background, abstract background, so you must give it a go. So we are nearly done with most of the petals now. And one thing I also forgot to mention was that when you apply masking fluid, make sure you're using a old brush, because usually I've seen that the bristle gets really ruined after you applied the masking fluid. So this is the reason when I applied masking fluid, that portion didn't get recorded, unfortunately. I used the back side of my paint brush, and that made it really easy for me to take off the masking fluid after it got dried up. So yeah, that's just a recommendation which you can follow. It's really handy if you're doing thin petals like this with masking fluid. See, I'm just adding in a bit darker paint spray now towards very near the centers, just to give the petals some definition. And it obviously creates contrast as well, which makes the flowers stand out. Okay, we are done, and I'm just taking off my masking fluid now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have learned something from this tutorial. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you found this tutorial helpful. And if you paint this, please tag me on Instagram at dimpyconsulart so I can see your beautiful creations. I'll be back soon with another watercolor tutorial for you all very soon. Till then, take care. Bye.